All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for this live Q&A with Ana Vidović. Anna, what a great concert. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I would like to thank everyone for watching. I really, really appreciate that. I know I didn't participate in the conversation. That's why we wanted to do this after the concert so we can connect with everybody. But I would like to thank everyone. Really, I appreciate you watching and joining us tonight.
Well, let's get started with our first question. All right, so the first question is from Richard Patterson, and
Yes.
he's asking, when is your next live performance?
So the next live performance is going to be April 10th in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm very excited because it's going to be live with live audience. So they have a venue that they found that allowed some members of the audience to come in. So that's really exciting for me because I look forward to being with audience in the same room. There's it's nothing quite like that, and it's a very special feeling for me in a very special setting, and I miss it very much. So I look forward to that.
Excellent. All right, next question from RW Gamer is asking, how many hours per day do you practice?
Usually it depends. Every day is very different. It's not so much about the amount of the hours. It's more about what I'm planning to do that day. I usually try to make a plan for each day. If I'm working on new repertoire or if I'm working on the old repertoire or preparing for a concert, it just depends. For example, right now I'm preparing for this Knoxville concert, so every day I'm working on the pieces that I have to play. So I just practice until I get everything done for that certain day. And it varies from 5 6 hours. Sometimes it's 10 hours. Sometimes it's all day. And if I feel like I haven't done everything that I wanted to do that day, I just keep on going. So, but it's for me, it's more about the focused work. I try not to waste too much time, and I've learned over the years, how to do that and how to work on specific things in a specific piece. So I do a lot of detailed work, like I practice in sections and practice the places that give me difficulties in a piece. So yeah, it's a lot of detailed work, a lot of because I very rarely play the whole piece by through, because I don't find it that helpful. It's more productive for me to just practice sections, and once everything is done, then I'll just play the entire piece through.
That's very enlightening. Thank you. So our next question is asking, how do you overcome technical difficulties? I guess, when you're going through that whole process, do you isolate sections, or do you, what's your process like for that?
I do isolate the sections, yes. If I have a technical difficulty that I'm working on, I just, whether it's a one bar or two bars, or whether it's a whole line, I just, keep on going with that. So, and I practiced it and practice and practice until it's done. So a lot of it is very, very slow practicing, making sure that, my fingers are working properly, and that I know exactly what I'm doing. And the finger placement is very important to me. I try to be, precise, and I try to avoid, any unnecessary noise, which is difficult sometimes with guitar, but that's very challenging. So, yes, so yes, it's a lot of sections, and a lot of slow practicing with the metronome also, and just gradually increasing the tempo. Yeah, so but I think I find it that it's helpful to practice slow, because if you play in a tempo all the time, that doesn't really mean that we're practicing efficiently enough. So that's why I like to practice quite slow. Yeah.
Jeffrey Chan is asking, how do you prepare for a concert like this one?
Well, it takes many, many weeks, months, years. and like I said before, I sometimes feel like I've been preparing my whole life, because I'm still learning, and I'm still working on things, and I'm still trying to improve and find ways to challenge myself, and to for me the hardest thing is to use my technique in order to play musically well, and so I try to merge those two together so that that I can play and express my music in the way I would like to. So that's quite challenging for me, and of course there's always technical difficulties that we have to work on, but the technique is kind of the basics for everything. It's hard to move forward if you don't have a kind of good quality technique, which is something that again we all have to work for the rest of our lives. It's not something that stays there with you. You work at it every day. Yeah.
Tom Brown is asking if you could play a duet with any living guitarist, who would you select and why?
It's a very difficult question, but a good question. I do love to play with my brother Victor, who is a guitarist. He's phenomenal, and he's the reason why I started playing guitar in the first place. So we do a lot of duos when we play. He lives in Croatia, so it's difficult for us to always connect. But when I go there, we do play a lot together. So I have another brother who lives here in the States, and he's a pianist. So I sometimes I play with him as well. So my whole family, everybody's musician. So family is first. But if I have to play with any living guitarist, it's really hard to say whom because I don't want to leave anyone out. Um, David Russell was always one of my favorites since I was very young. John Williams. But I'm gonna say I think I would like to play with everyone. So because I don't want to leave anybody out. So every living guitarist I'd love to play, and maybe we can form a guitar orchestra so that we can all play together.
That'd be excellent. Why not? All right, so we have Tom Brown who just asked that last question. He also wanted to mention that great performance and tonight, and to say thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Next question is from Find North. Says, Anna, do master classical guitarists like yourself compose new pieces, or are the talents overwhelmed by the classic compositions developed in the 19th century or earlier?
Unfortunately, I don't compose. I tried, but it doesn't really work. So I'm not very, I'm not very talented that way. I would rather leave, the composing part to people that know how to do it. And there's some really, really good composers today, and of course in the past. Unfortunately, guitar repertoire is a bit limited. We don't have a lot of repertoire. We do have some beautiful compositions. But we're not as lucky as violin, cello, and piano. So we have to work with what we have. We are lucky that we have some really good arrangements that we can play. For example, for me, the favorite one is of course Bach. So I just connect the most with Bach's music for some reason, and I just love his music. So that's if I could play this for the rest of my life, I would be very happy. If I could just play his music. We do have a lot of Spanish repertoire, of course, and then we have composers such as the Sergio Assad, and of course Leo Brouwer, many others. So, but for me personally, I do connect most with the traditional repertoire. I don't. It's just something that It's my choice. It's my decision to do that and to play most of that. And which doesn't mean that there's some really great modern composers. There are some really good ones, but it's just not something that I would choose. Because I think at the end of the day, you have to play something you connect with the most. So yeah.
Excellent. Next question from Bon Ha Guitar 9 says, Ana, I feel that most of your plucking on the right hand is apoyando. Is that right? Most guitarists play mostly al air and play some notes with apoyando. You seem to do the opposite. Is that right?
It just depends. I do. Yes, he's correct. It just depends what I'm playing and what kind of sound I'm trying to convey. So, if I, for example, with scales, I like to use rest stroke. With some like fast scales, it just uh, I don't feel as comfortable with free stroke, so I'll use rest stroke. But if I'm playing something that requires, I don't know, a beautiful expression or a beautiful melody, or that's usually free stroke. So if I'm emphasizing a chord or a certain note, I will use rest stroke. So it's just a decision that you make, and based on you again musical expression. It's just that's kind of a conscious decision for me personally. So I don't only rely on feeling, but I rely on the decision I need to make in order to make the music that I want to make.
All right, I think we'll do just a couple more. We have one from Francesca Joy Pondavida, and her question is, Hi Anna, for pieces that are popular like Un Dia de November by Brouwer, how do you make them special and your own? Thank you for such a wonderful performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. Well, yes, it's difficult to when you play something that has been played many times and it's very well known. It's very difficult to make it your own because there's so many interpretations. For example, Asturias, it's a very famous piece and everyone plays it, and it's a beautiful piece, but it's a challenge to make it sound different. Uh, so that's kind of a challenge in itself for me. That's why I kind of choose the pieces that have been played, because it's a challenge. I want to be challenged. I want to make it sound different. I want to make it sound, my own. And so I work at it. And I try to find things that um, I think it's just about what you're trying to say, with the piece. For example, Brouwer's piece is a beautiful piece. For me, it reminds me of certain things, so I try to convey that through music. It's when I play it, I think about that thing that I'm thinking, a certain memory, or and that I try to express it that way. So because music is all about expression, about your feelings and about your what you feel inside, and so whether it's with phrasing or with the sound, um, there's many different ways you can approach a piece that has been played many times, but you have to kind of look within yourself and find the reason, and find the um, inspiration, I guess, for the way you want to interpret certain piece. So I hope that answers her question.
And this is more of a reinforcement question. I think you had answered this in a previous question. Someone is asking, Joan S., at this point in your career, do you ever practice with the metronome?
Yes, I do. I do practice with the metronome almost daily, but not every day. Sometimes I should practice more, but yes, metronome is very important, especially with like when I do scales. When I practice scales, I'll practice with the metronome. For example, with Bach, I always use metronome because I don't want to play. You have to play in time, with Bach's music. You don't want to be off time. It's very, very important. So I will always use that with Bach. Not so much like with Scarlatti. Also, I use metronome. So it just depends on a piece. Some pieces require more freedom, and some pieces require more time. Being on time, and so again, it depends. But yes, metronome is extremely important. Yes.
Excellent. We heard it from Ana Vidović, metronome. Use it. All right. So the next question is from Stephen Lin. And he's asking if you could go back and give young Anna one, two, or three bits of advice, what would it be?
It's a really good question. Slow down. No, slow down meaning like don't play too fast, or that's what I would tell her. Sometimes when I was younger, I used to play a little bit too fast, but I guess that comes with age. You slow down a little bit with age. Um, what would I tell her? I would tell her, yeah, just relax, don't be so sometimes I think we're hard on ourselves, so we want to do always good, and we always want to get better, and you can kind of um yeah, I used to be very critical of myself. I still am a little bit, but I think it's important to acknowledge, if you do something well, and be proud of it and be happy of that, and then just keep going. So you have to kind of find a happy medium. So I would tell her that, and I guess that would be it. And just I was what I really love when a friend of mine, told me like just don't take yourself too seriously. I think that's a really good advice. Just not take yourself too seriously and just enjoy what you do, and have a good time with it. That's the most important.
It's great advice. So I think we'll wrap it up with one last question, and this is actually a two-part question. The first, it's John Swender is asking, and the first part is, he says, Anna, very lovely concert. He said he really enjoyed the Nocturne. Any plans to record some of this Croatian music? Who better to do this than you?
I would love to. Yes, Nocturne is a very special piece to me because this is something that this was a piece that used to be a part of our repertoire growing up in Croatia. All the students played this piece, and so I haven't played it in a long time, and I just picked it up recently. So I would like to, dedicate a little bit more time to some Croatian music. I haven't done that as much as I should have. So yes, I mean, there's a lot of plans. What I also would love to do just to record a Bach album, and maybe the next one would be just Croatian music, because we do have some really lovely Croatian composers. Yeah.
The second part to the question is, who are your favorite Baroque composers, excluding Bach?
Bach always comes first. I don't know. I think it's always Bach. I mean, it's always. I can't. I can't really name any others. Yeah, I think it's Bach because Bach emphasizes everything that's great about Baroque's music. It's just everything is there. So I'm sorry I can't choose anyone else. It's always been Bach. It probably always will be. So sorry.
Okay, well, what better way to end with Bach? So we just want to thank you again for playing for us, taking the time to do a Q&A and to interact a little bit with the people who are up listening. And we just also want to thank you all for participating, to watch the premiere video of Ana Vidović, and also to stick around for this Q&A session with her.
Yes, and I would like to thank them as well. Again, I'm so glad we got to do this Q&A. I think it's because we obviously cannot meet. Usually after the concert, there's always a meet and greet, with the audience. So we cannot meet now, and it's nice to be able to do this way through Zoom. So and again, many many thanks for watching tonight. I really appreciate that, especially at a time like this. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much again, Anna, and hope you have a nice rest of your evening. And
You
take
too.
care.
You too. Take care. Bye.